This week's question that we're going to be answering is, my device turned itself off and is hot. What happened? My name is Steve. Welcome to DQA Weekly. And you're going to be learning about thermal paste, cleanliness, airflow, as well as thermal conductivity, as they are important to device performance and usually a good way of avoiding thermal shutdown, which will freak the hell out of most people. Well, let's just get through that part. It will freak the heck out of you if it ever happens to you. You're going to learn about two different thermal mechanisms that are used to protect your devices, as well as things that you can do to help avoid them or prevent them outright. Starting off with thermal throttling, something that everybody goes through every single day. You see, the more you use a device and the more you demand from a device, the more voltage is required to go into the processor in order to actually achieve the task. However, there are thermal safety limits set in all graphics cards and processors. So, once you start approaching these, the voltage is actually dropped. And this allows the device to run cooler and will result in less performance, but your device will not be damaged. It might be annoying, but if your device could get cooler, it could run with a higher voltage. Hence, in some cases, we have water cooling. Now, this is the most common thing to happen, and for most people, it is the only thing that ever happens. So if that is the only thing that ever happens to you, you are lucky, because the other possibility is known as thermal shutdown, and that is because thermal throttling has failed. If thermal throttling has failed and the temperature is now critical, your device can do one of two things: destroy itself or just turn itself off. The odds of it destroying itself just for your performance is not likely. Most engineers will program safety limits that will tell the device to turn itself off, whether you like it or not, because there is a multitude of things that can go wrong with the device that they can get sued for, and it is better for your device to turn itself off than have any of the other side effects occur. Now, if we're looking at tablets, phones, or even laptops, we're talking about the possibility of igniting the lithium battery. So obviously, explosion or device powered off. You make the choice, or they'll make the choice, you just live with it. Now, there are some reasons why your computer, laptop, and other devices will thermally throttle or shut down. And the first thing that you need to be looking at is thermal paste, especially in devices where you can actually replace it. So graphics cards and laptops, as well as computers. If you're capable of replacing the thermal paste and the thermal paste is finished, rock hard, useless, it's going to give it a much better chance of thermal transfer. The more effective thermal transfer is from the processor over to the heatsink, the less likely you're going to experience thermal shutdown, even though you will never completely get rid of thermal throttling. However, it will occur less. The other thing you could do is to make sure that the heatsink itself is clean, as well as the fans. Now, a heatsink that is clean with no debris in it will have a much better time getting rid of all the heat, because there won't be any insulation in there. Yes, dirt will insulate the heat into the heatsink, as well as dirt on the fans. If there are any dirt particles on the fans, especially an excessive amount of it, it will force the fans to work harder and actually achieve less cooling. So clean fans, clean heat sinks, and fresh thermal paste. That by default is the easiest way of keeping your computer, your laptop, and other devices from thermally shutting down. You will never get rid of thermal throttling, but at least you won't be freaking the hell out. Now, the next thing you need to be analyzing is airflow. Not just airflow inside of the boxes, but also airflow to the device. If you're sticking a computer inside of a cabinet that does not breathe, don't be surprised that everything I just told you doesn't actually work. Your computers, laptops, and other devices, whether you like it or not, need to breathe. And in order to be able to remove the heat from the device and put it out into an atmosphere, it needs a lot of atmosphere to saturate. So a tiny little space is not enough. you need to have more airflow. Now, if you're putting this in a cabinet and you have a fan that's changing out the air, that might actually help. Otherwise, you might want to think about leaving it exposed to ambient air, not hidden. This way, you'll be able to use the device without any issues. And the other thing that you have to worry about is your casing. If your casing is preventing your device from cooling itself, it is probably a good idea to remove that casing and replace it with something that does allow it to breathe, or just remove it entirely. I know that casings on your tablets and your phones are meant to protect it, but if you short out the device due to heat damage, you're not doing any favors to yourself. So it is probably a good idea to seek a balance between the device's security and its ability to get rid of heat, while not blocking your ability to use other features like NFC. And with that, here is a little bit of advice that will help get any of your devices to actually function correctly all the time. And it is keep it clean, keep it fresh, and allow for sufficient airflow. Whether it is how you hold the device or how you treat your laptops, your tablets, or your computer. If it can breathe and it's clean and the thermal paste is fresh, you should never have to experience thermal shutdown. Remember, thermal throttling might be normal, but thermal shutdown isn't. It is an indicator of a bigger issue, which is usually dirty heatsink, dirty fans, and expired thermal paste. And that is why it turned itself off. It's hot because it overheated and it turned itself off because it can't conduct the heat out of the device fast enough. Like this episode if you like it, dislike it if you didn't, share with those that you think could benefit from this, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions for topics, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com or go to my website, tqaweekly.com, where you can see show notes on this episode, past others, find other ways of subscribing, and of course use the contact form to email me directly. Now, if you want to see me play video games, head over to twitch.tv/ZAxis1981, where I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for watching, and good night.